Today I'm excited to review the Olympus M-Zuiko 40-150mm f2.8 Pro lens, the original telephoto beast that's been a staple for Micro Four Thirds shooters since its release back in 2014. First off, let's talk about the build quality. At first glance, it looks absolutely massive with the tripod collar and lens hood on, but as soon as you take them off and behold the lens in itself, it's actually a very reasonable size. This is how I usually use it without tripod collar and without lens hood. The lens weighs about 760 grams and with all the accessories on, it's 880 grams. More or less on par with a fast standard zoom lens on full frame for reference. The lens hood is huge but features a very interesting retractable mechanism. You can simply twist and pull it back to make it shorter to fit in your bag. The lens got all metal construction that is dust proof, splash proof, freeze proof, making it perfect for those rugged outdoor adventures or shooting in unpredictable weather. This lens is 100% without a doubt the best build lens I've ever handled in terms of build quality and sturdiness. Any Panasonic Leica lenses would pale in comparison to the craftsmanship and engineering that go into this Olympus 40-150's physical construction. The phrase built like a tank you hear a lot in camera and lens reviews, but you have to see the Olympus 40-150 yourself to really understand the true physical embodiment of this phrase. Now let's move on to some of the physical features. It has a programmable L function button on the barrel for quick access to functions like autofocus hold. And don't forget the pullback clutch for switching to manual focus with hard stops and a distance scale. I love this design. However, I wish the focus ring would be built a little bit thicker and give more room to the distance scale because right now they're really crammed into a tight space that can be hard to read sometimes. 40-150mm zoom range translates to 80-300mm equivalent on full frame thanks to the 2x crop factor of Micro Four Thirds sensor. That's quite a bit more reach than your typical 70-200mm f2.8, making it incredibly versatile, much more so than its direct competitor Lumix 35-100mm f2.8 lens for Micro Four Thirds. The zoom mechanism is completely internal. This might be a little pleasant surprise for some. Typically, long-range zoom lenses would trombone out as you zoom, but this one has it all contained within a long barrel, making it a little bit more stealthy on the streets. Looking at this setup, people would hardly suspect that you are shooting something 100 meters away. The focal length is quite perfect for sports in small venues, such as tennis, volleyball, basketball. You have the wiggle room to get a relatively wide shot and also the ability to zoom in to individual players in very close-up fashion. I enjoyed using this lens shooting at Rome's Master 1000 tournament last year very much. It is probably not long enough for shooting big stadium like football, for example. Luckily, this lens is compatible with 1.4 times or 2 times teleconverters. Those accessories are probably a must if you are shooting wildlife photography as well. The lens boasts a constant f2.8 aperture throughout the range, no stepping down as you zoom in, which is amazing for low light work and maintaining the shallow depth of field. This can be a deciding factor when you are choosing between this 40-150 f2.8 and the Panasonic Leica 50-200 f2.8-4. The extra range on a Leica is great, but having the f2.8 at 150mm is something you cannot emulate in post-processing. In fact, the Olympus 40-150 f2.8 gives you a look that is quite comparable to full frame. At its longest 150mm focal length, it would equate to a 300mm f5.6 lens in full frame terms, which is very respectable when it comes to producing shallow depth of field and beautiful bokeh. Therefore, it's also a lens that can be used for portraiture. This lens has a minimum focus distance of 0.7 meters or 2.3 feet, which means it's not going to be particularly good for macro. In fact, I did a comparison between this lens and a Leica 12-60mm f2.8-4, which has close focus distance of only 0.2 meters, making the Leica standard zoom lens a much better option to achieve subject separation in super close-up scenarios. despite having one-stop aperture disadvantage. Image quality is where this lens shines again. From my tests and real-world shooting experiences, it's razor sharp across the frame, especially in the center. Right from f2.8, even though it's from 2014, it is definitely sharp enough for any modern Micro Four Thirds camera bodies with 20 megapixel or 25 megapixel sensor, or shooting in high resolution mode up to 80 megapixel or 100 megapixels. There's no problem at all. This lens can easily resolve all the details. The color from this lens is rich in tonality and has crispy contrast. Very little adjustment is needed in post-production. For people who need to shoot and deliver JPEG in fast-paced fashion, you can rest assured with the result straight out of camera. The autofocus speed is still keeping up with a new camera like Lumix G9 Mark II very well. I've done a lot of burst shoot at a cat shelter and tennis club for the sake of testing out G9 Mark II's phase detect autofocus. If you check out my old videos on GH6 and G9 Mark II's autofocus, you will see a lot of sample photos taken with this Olympus 40-150 f2.8. The focus is always fast, accurate, and silent. As an old Olympus lens working on Lumix camera bodies, it has never demonstrated any compatibility issues, except for one thing, which I'm going to talk about right now. It's a little quirk I found with this lens that is not so pleasant. So occasionally I shoot a couple of landscape pictures with this lens at 150mm f5.6, which is my preferred aperture for landscape in Micro Four Thirds system. The image came out visibly softer at f5.6 than when shooting at wide open f2.8. I thought that's strange, a lens that is softer stopping down than wide open? I tried various different configurations, combinations, placing the camera on stationary position with a timer so as not to introduce shake, and the result is always the same. When zooming in to about 140 to 150mm, stopping down to f4, f5.6, f6.3, the images will always be soft. Then it occurred to me it might have something to do with the autofocus system, so I did manual focus test at 150mm f5.6, and I was finally able to achieve tag sharp result. So it turns out the lens itself is sharp, big relief, but the autofocus at the long end is funky. I don't have Olympus camera body to test it on, but on all my Lumix cameras, no matter old body or new body, it always struggles to nail the focus at f5.6. It's always so very slightly off. Even in manual focus mode, you cannot shoot at the peak intensity of the focus peaking. It's very, very slightly off the peak. I have never seen anyone reporting the same issue, which leads me to believe that it's more likely the lens's fault. Because I've shot with other Olympus lenses before, and also the problem only occurs at the end of the telephoto range, so it's unlikely the camera body's fault. It's either a compatibility issue or a straight up bad lens calibration with this particular copy of this lens. Fortunately, I use this lens mostly at f2.8 aperture, and f2.8 itself, it is sharp enough even for landscape. If you happen to own this lens, do me a favor, test it out and let me know, and let everyone else know the result. It's going to be very helpful for a lot of people, I think. Thank you. In conclusion, this lens has exceptional build quality, image quality, handling, range, and speed. Every aspect is impeccable. Pretty much as perfect a perfect lens can be. If I can only have one telephoto lens, this is going to be it, no question about it. It's more practical than a 100 to 400 lens for day-to-day shoot. It's more versatile than a fast prime lens like 200mm f2.8. It can shoot wildlife, sports, portraiture, landscape. The image it produces can pass as full frame. Overall, it's highly recommended. Thank you for watching. Subscribe for more content. Any purchase via Amazon link below helps the channel a lot. Thank you, and see you next time.